Hello, everyone. My name is Pavel Kravchenko, CEO and co-founder of Distribute Lab. So we're continuing our webinars that are dedicated to the digital transformation, blockchain, cryptography, and everything. So we are going to cover more topics in the upcoming future, and please vote for topics you would like to hear from us. We will prepare and make them better and better. So the topic of today is the path to digital transformation for the company. And actually, before we start, I want to say about our initiative that we are going to launch already next week. It will be the course and the certification for the specialist that needs to deal with digital transformation projects. And first, we're going to launch it in Russian language and then English version. And basically, that will be the course and certification for any kind of people who are dealing with digital transformation projects. For the business analysts, for project managers, for developers, maybe for CTOs. And this course is going to sum up all the concepts and principles and knowledge that is needed to make fair decisions. So, like, what's the difference between public and private key? What are the principles of their generation and how they when each of them is needed? So, what are the principles of public infrastructures? What are the principles of encryption, of symmetric, asymmetric encryption? And not too deep, but just to get the understanding of what all these terminal things are. So people will be able to articulate and understand deep technical people. So that will be the course. It will be, last for a month and a half, and we will continue it further. So the first course will gather like around 50-60 people. We'll test it again first for Russian-speaking audience, and then we'll switch to English. So coming up to today's topic, the path to digital transformation. This is also a speculative topic, especially right now, where world has to move online, and you know that many governments are sponsoring these activities. They're investing a lot in digitization. It's sometimes even hard to pronounce this word, and there are many critics that say it's a fake digitization. So it's like hot topic currently in Ukraine too, because we have a government who specifically announced that the government will be in a smartphone. So, first of all, to make this process smooth and fair and not spending money just for nothing, you need to define the goals. And the goals could be different, but it doesn't, like they're saying that the government is stating the smartphone as a good goal, but it doesn't reflect what exactly should be like done, how we're achieving this goal. And the goals could be, first of all, is that to agree on the terms of items we are digitizing. So if we're going to talk about e-commerce, then our goal is to make sure that all objects, all goods and services are named correctly and in the same way. Because you know that when you're searching for something on the internet, and you sometimes see that the name of the object is like just the name, this verbal description. In some cases, it's like some ID plus name. In some cases, ID plus another ID plus something like the code of the color. And this brings some confusion because you can't really search for things you would like to buy. And that's currently hard. We lack, one option is we lack AI that is kind of tries to understand that the same thing is being sold. So the goal of digital transformation is to come up with the uniform naming of all the things. And if cryptographers are listening to me, then eventually we are going to come up with the identifier, which is the hash of some name. So then they will be fully unique and there will be no ambiguity about that. So the second thing is that we need to build the single digital space, I would say, that everybody who works in the company or in a consortium has access to. And the goal of this single digital space is to make information that is stored in general, not only objects, but processes and roles and identities, to make that uniform. So everybody who is looking, who logged in into this space, sees exactly the same what the rest of others see. And obviously, digitization is the only path to do that. With paper, it's much harder to achieve. So that's natural goal. But the new thing that blockchain brings here is that they actually can trust what you see, because currently, yeah, you can make a system where shows the same information to everybody, but it's hard to prove that it's exactly so. So if hacker affects the system, the hacker can make everybody see different information. And that's a big threat in the current society, which has become very reliable on digital technology. So blockchain's goal is to make sure that you get information in a fully correct form, and it's fully synchronized, harmonized, and so on. And this is especially valuable when you work within a consortium. Then you need to synchronize databases that belong to different or independent organizations. And obviously they have different goals, and it's much harder to achieve. So that's the second goal, is to make the single digital space. And the third one is basically to automate all the things. So when you have agreement about the naming and you have the agreement about all the processes, now you have to automate all these processes. And that's the goal of digital transformation. And then after all these three goals achieved, you can have a state in a smartphone or a company in a smartphone. And then maybe you will be able to make a decentralized autonomous organization that will be run by a smart contract. But before this future occurs, we need actual steps, like what we need to do to make this happen. And also, basically, there are a few steps towards that. And first of them is a digital identity. And this is the most important part, because anyone who wants to digitize something without implementing digital identity first will fail. And digital identity means that every person and eventually every object and every process in the system will get its own identity, and will authorize this every action using this digital identity. And digital identity means having the cryptographic pair of keys. The private key is needs for signing and decrypting information, the public key for verifying signatures and encrypting information. We will touch this in later webinars. So the second step after you have digital identity, you need to implement digital signature to sign every action that is going to be present in the system. And then technically there should be no change in the system which was not authorized by digital signature. So you have full non-repudiation process where everything that changed the state of your IT system has originator and always digital identity attached to it. You can verify that it's indeed that person. So, and third thing to make this, to continue digital transformation, the third step is the digital transformation of registries of ownership. We touched this topic on the last webinar. Basically, it means that someone needs to digitize access and management of ownership rights through digital identity and digital signatures. And this affects all assets. You can't even imagine that everything around you in the digital system is an asset. So even the permissions are also assets. So somebody is able to modify some documents, and this is a permission, and this could be revoked. This permission can be revoked, and it could be transferred, delegated, or so. So from the CEO to the secretary. So there could be many things, and all of them should be managed by cryptographic keys. So these are examples of registries that have to be digitized. As soon as they digitize in the right way, so we have open APIs to them and cryptography, then you can make a smart contract layer on top of that and attach a business logic that will be automatically managing assets, permissions, anything else. So this is three simple steps, but I mean, they're not easy to implement because you have to upgrade the software. You need to upgrade the user software. So instead of having just simple login and password that is easily hackable, you need to make real cryptography. So, and this is hard. And basically, the world is updating for the last 20 years, which means that systems slowly get functionality of working with cryptography, with digital signatures. We experience this every day when we log into some websites. We see the green lock, which means that we're using TLS connection and encrypting data to the server, and we are somehow verifying the authenticity of the server we are connecting to. And it's just one-way cooperation currently. The server doesn't verify our identity in the same strong way. So we should get the certificates of digital signature, every one of us, and possibly many roles. So in these roles will reflect different permissions in different systems. And at the end, we will have a single digital space, which will allow us to manage assets and permissions and everything else. So to repeat, what are the goals for digital transformation? First is the same terminology for every goods and services. Second is the single digital space. Third is the trusted digital space. And then steps how we achieve that. First, digital identity. Second, digital signature. And third, digitization, the right one, of registries of assets and permissions. That would be it. I mean, each step will take, could take a half a year to achieve, but I mean, if you don't follow them, you will likely not make your project succeed. So, and that was the reason why many blockchain projects failed, because obviously it's good to believe in some fairy that comes and magically transforms your system using blockchain. And people really hired smart contract engineers and blockchain experts to transform their system. And obviously, it didn't happen because it's not well, it can possibly happen. So, but you need to create a group that is responsible for implementing digital identity, signature, and digitization. So that would be it. Would like to hear some questions. As I answered, the first step is implementation of digital identity, and I mean, I can cover this in a separate webinar because it's not an easy answer. Please ask questions in comments. We will kind of form next topics from these questions. We'll cover more deep topics later. Thank you for listening to me. I hope I bring in some valuable information and saving you from spending extra costs. So would like to continue. Good luck. Bye.